Stop right there. Before you click away, answer me this. Why are you watching this video right now? You're searching for something, aren't you? An edge, a secret, something that explains why some people seem to control everything while you're still figuring it out. I'm about to tell you something that'll make you angry. Ready? You've been lied to your entire life. They told you hard work pays off. They told you good things come to those who wait. They told you honesty is the best policy, and you believed it. We all did. But look around. The people winning, they're not playing by those rules. They never were. 500 years ago, a man named Machiavelli watched this game unfold in the most brutal arena imaginable. Renaissance Italy. Kingdoms fell overnight. Families rose to power from nothing. Good men died poor. Ruthless strategists built dynasties, and he wrote down every single move. The raw, unfiltered blueprint of power. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It's observation. It's pattern recognition from the top 1% across every century, every culture, every domain. These 10 lessons separate those who shape reality from those who simply react to it. Once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. You'll start recognizing them everywhere, in every interaction, every power dynamic, every win, and every loss around you. So ask yourself, do you really want to know? Because ignorance is comfortable. Awareness is not. Still here. Good. That means you're ready. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose awareness. Let's break the illusion. Number 1. Master the art of strategic absence. Listen carefully. I'm going to tell you about the most counterintuitive power move you've never considered. Disappear. Not I'm serious. Right when they expect you most. Right when they think they've got you figured out. Vanish. You know what happens when you're always there. You become furniture. Background noise. Expected, unexpected things hold zero power. Machiavelli once said, "Make yourself scarce, and you will be respected." Think about the last time someone made you wait. Really wait. What happened in your mind? You started wondering, where are they? What are they doing? Why aren't they responding? That wondering, that's power transferring from you to them. Now, flip it. When you're instantly available, constantly present, always responsive, you've just handed away your leverage. You've communicated something without saying a word. My time has no premium. I'm always here. Use me. But here's where this gets interesting. Strategic absence isn't about hiding. It's about creating hunger. It's about making your presence feel like an event, not a routine. When you show up, it matters because they didn't know when you would. This principle operates on a psychological law most people never learn. Scarcity multiplies value, not just with objects, with attention, with presence, with access to you. The ones who control the game understand this instinctively. They're not playing hard to get. They are hard to get because they've structured their reality so that access to them is earned, not assumed. And before you say this sounds manipulative, let me ask you something. Is it manipulation when a diamond is rare? Is it manipulation when a limited seat at a table costs more? No. That's value. That's economics. That's reality. You want to be valued. Act valuable. And valuable things aren't found everywhere, anytime, for everyone. This doesn't mean you become unreliable. Quite the opposite. When you commit, you show up fully. But you commit selectively. You show up strategically. Your time becomes a gift, not a given. Watch what happens when you start doing this. Watch how people's energy towards you shifts. Watch how they start trying to secure your time instead of assuming they have it. Watch how conversations become more focused because they know they don't have infinite access. Your absence creates space. In that space, your value grows. In that space, people start to wonder. And the person who makes others wonder holds the cards. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My presence is premium. Number 2. Your reputation is your empire. Everything you've built can collapse with one word, one story, one rumor that spreads faster than you can correct it. Your reputation isn't some abstract concept. It's currency. It's the invisible force that opens doors before you knock or slams them before you arrive. And the terrifying part, other people control it more than you do. Unless you take it back, Machiavelli once said, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." What people say about you matters more than what you say about yourself. Your reputation walks into rooms before you do. It whispers in ears you'll never hear. It shapes opinions you'll never change, because you'll never know they exist. So, how do you fight something invisible? You build it intentionally, brick by brick, story by story, until narrative about you is so strong, so consistent, so undeniable that attacks bounce off it like rain off stone. This means being obsessed with how you're perceived, not in a paranoid way, in a strategic way. Every move you make is sending a signal. Every decision is writing a sentence in the story people tell about you. Are you the person who delivers? That's a reputation. Are you the person who talks big but folds under pressure? That's also a reputation. Are you the person who can be trusted with secrets? Who shows up when things get hard? Who remains calm when everyone else panics? These are reputations being built in real time. But here's the dark side. Someone will try to destroy what you've built, guaranteed. Whether out of jealousy, competition, or just because they can. And when they do, you don't ignore it. You don't take the high road and hope truth prevails. Truth doesn't prevail. The best story prevails. So you respond swiftly, strategically. You don't get emotional. You get effective. You control the counter-narrative so tightly that the attack loses oxygen. The powerful spend as much energy protecting their reputation as they do building it, because they know, lose your reputation, lose everything. Kingdoms have fallen over rumors. Fortunes have dissolved over whispers. Empires have crumbled because someone controlled the story better. Your reputation is your armor and your weapon. Treat it like your life depends on it, because in every way that matters, it does. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I own my story. Number 3. Predictability is death. You want to know the fastest way to lose power? Let them figure you out. The moment someone knows your next move before you make it, you've lost. You've become a pattern, a formula, a solved problem, and solved problems get controlled, manipulated, discarded. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You're reading that wrong. He's not saying be a lion or a fox. He's saying be both at different times in ways no one expects. That's the key. When they expect strength, show cunning. When they expect cunning, show strength. When they think they've got your rhythm, change the tempo entirely. Keep them guessing. Keep them off balance. Keep them unable to prepare for you. This is why rigid people lose. They develop one style, one approach, one personality, and they stick to it like it's a virtue. This is who I am, they say proudly. Congratulations. You just handed everyone a manual on how to beat you. Unpredictability isn't randomness. Let me be clear about that. It's not acting erratic or crazy. It's maintaining options. It's refusing to be boxed into one mode, one response, one strategy. Think about it like this. If someone knows that pushing button X will always get response Y from you, what do they have? Control. They can farm you for that response whenever they need it. They can predict you, plan around you, neutralize you. But if sometimes button X gets response Y, sometimes it gets response Z, and sometimes you don't respond at all, now you're dangerous. Now they have to think twice. Now they have to wonder if they're walking into a trap. The powerful operate in mystery, not because they're trying to be mysterious, because mystery is leverage. The less certain people are about how you'll react, the more careful they are around you, the more space you have to maneuver. So, stop being consistent for consistency's sake. Stop being predictable because it makes you feel stable. Stability is comfort. Comfort is weakness. In the game of power, the one who can shift fastest wins. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I stay flexible. Number 4. Timing beats strength. You can have the perfect plan, the perfect strategy, the perfect execution, and still lose completely if your timing is wrong. This is the lesson that breaks most people. They focus on what to do and forget that when you do it matters more. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." But here's what he meant. Wisdom knows when at once is because sometimes at once means right now. Sometimes it means 6 months from now. And the fool acts when emotion tells them to, not when strategy demands it. Timing is everything. Let that sink in. Everything. Act too early and you're exposed. You've shown your hand before the other players revealed theirs. You've spent your ammunition before the real battle begins. You're the person who peaks in rehearsal. Act too late and the moment passes. The opportunity closes. Someone else takes what could have been yours. You're left explaining why you hesitated instead of celebrating why you succeeded. The powerful have developed something most people never acquire. Patience with pressure. They can hold their move while everything inside them screams to act. They can wait. But they also know when to strike instantly, when to move so fast that no one can react, when to compress time and create chaos that favors them. This is the dance, knowing when to accelerate and when to brake, when to let things simmer and when to turn up the heat, when to let silence do the work and when to speak with force. You want to know why you keep losing to people who aren't smarter than you. Timing. They moved when the moment was ripe. You moved when you felt ready. Those aren't the same thing. The universe doesn't care about your readiness. It cares about alignment, and alignment is timing. The right move at the right moment with the right force equals results. Change any variable, and you get nothing. So develop this sense. Watch for patterns. Feel for momentum. Notice when energy is building and when it's fading. Learn to read the room, the situation, the pressure points, and when the moment arrives, not before, not after, you strike. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I move with precision. Number 5. Your circle is your ceiling. Look around right now at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Really look, because they're showing you your future. You think you're independent. You think you're self-made. You're not. Nobody is. We're all products of proximity. We absorb the standards, the thinking, the limitations of the people around us, like sponges absorb water. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he is around him." Now apply that to yourself. What does your circle say about you? What level are they operating at? What are they teaching you through osmosis? What patterns are they normalizing? This isn't about judging people. This is about survival, because energy is contagious, ambition is contagious, excellence is contagious, but so is mediocrity. So is excuses, so is settling. Every hour you spend around people who think small, you're practicing thinking small. Every conversation with people who complain instead of create, you're programming yourself for complaint. Every moment with people who've given up on themselves, you're absorbing that surrender. You don't mean to. They don't mean to. It just happens. That's how influence works. The powerful are ruthless about this. They audit their circle constantly, not out of arrogance, out of necessity. They know that proximity equals programming and programming equals destiny. This means making hard choices, cutting ties that feel comfortable but keep you limited, creating distance from people who love you but don't understand where you're going, saying no to invitations that once mattered but no longer serve your evolution. It sounds cold when I say it like that, but here's the truth. Loyalty to your future self matters more than loyalty to your past self. And sometimes the past self made connections that the future self needs to release. This doesn't mean you abandon everyone. It means you're intentional about influence. You surround yourself with people who challenge you, stretch you, show you what's possible. You create relationships based on trajectory, not just history, because here's the reality. You can have the best strategy, the best skills, the best intentions. But if your circle is pulling you backward, you'll never move forward. Your circle either lifts you or limits you. There's no neutral. Choose accordingly. Choose ruthlessly. Choose for the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose growth. Number 6. Control through illusion. You want to know the darkest truth about power? Real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't force. It doesn't command. It guides. It shapes. It creates conditions where people choose exactly what you wanted them to choose all along, and they thank you for it. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." But let's reframe that. You're not deceiving anyone when you present options that serve your goal. You're being strategic. You're structuring choice. You're understanding that humans don't want unlimited freedom. They want guided freedom. Here's how this works in the real world. You never give someone a blank slate. Blank slates create paralysis. Instead, you give them a menu, and every item on that menu leads where you need them to go. Do you want option A or option B? Both serve you. They just feel different to them. That feeling of choice, that's the illusion. The outcome was determined before they decided, but they got to feel autonomous. Win-win. This isn't manipulation if you're honest about boundaries. This is leadership. This is influence. This is understanding that people need structure disguised as freedom. Watch how the powerful operate. They never say, "Do this." They say, "You could do this or this. What feels right to you?" And both options advance their agenda. Genius. The weak try to force compliance. They create resistance through direct commands. The powerful create compliance through framed choice. No resistance, just cooperation that feels voluntary. This works because humans are wired for autonomy. We need to feel like we're in control. We rebel against being told what to do, but we embrace decisions we made ourselves, even when those decisions were carefully architected by someone else. So, stop rushing, stop demanding, stop trying to control through force. Instead, become the architect of decisions. Frame the options, set the parameters. Make the path so clear that the choice becomes obvious, but still feels like theirs. This is how you get what you want without creating enemies. How you build compliance without generating resentment. How you move people exactly where you need them while making them feel empowered the entire journey. Master this and you'll never need to argue again. You won't need to convince, you'll simply present and they'll choose and you'll win. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I architect outcomes. Number 7. Strategic vulnerability is strength. Everything I've told you so far might make you think power is about walls, about armor, about never showing weakness. Wrong. That's what amateurs think. The truly powerful understand something deeper. Calculated vulnerability is the ultimate weapon. Machiavelli once said, "A man who is used to acting in one way never changes. He must come to ruin when the times in changing no longer are in harmony with his ways." Adaptability includes knowing when to lower the shield, when to show the human underneath, when to reveal something that makes you relatable, trustworthy, real. But here's the critical distinction. Strategic vulnerability isn't weakness. It's not emotional dumping. It's not neediness disguised as authenticity. It's calculated revelation that serves a purpose. You've been guarded 4 months, careful, strategic. Everyone sees you as unreadable. Then in the right moment with the right person, you share something true, something vulnerable, something that costs you to reveal. What happens? Their entire perception shifts. Finally, they think the real person. Their guard drops, trust forms. And in that moment of trust, you have influence you didn't have before. This is why the powerful aren't always powerful. They oscillate. Sometimes they're generous, sometimes they're ruthless. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're closed. This range keeps people engaged because they never know which version they're getting. The same applies to honesty, random honesty, predictable, strategic honesty, devastating. You save your truth for moments when it creates maximum impact, when it disarms, when it builds the bridge you need. This doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're intentional about revelation. You don't owe everyone access to every layer of you. You give access based on what serves the situation and the relationship. The weak are vulnerable all the time. They overshare. They seek validation through exposure. They confuse openness with connection, and they wonder why people lose respect. The powerful are vulnerable rarely precisely with purpose. And when they reveal something real, it matters. It creates moments that people remember, moments that shift dynamics, moments that build loyalty. So stop being an open book. Become a book that reveals chapters strategically. Give people access when it serves both of you. Hold back when protection is needed. And watch how much more powerful your vulnerability becomes when it's rare. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal strategically. Number 8. Speak their language, not yours. You keep trying to convince people with logic, with facts, with what makes sense to you, and you keep failing. Want to know why? Because nobody cares what matters to you. They care what matters to them. This is the gap that destroys most peer plus influence. They speak their language instead of learning the other person's language. And then they wonder why nothing lands. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because it belongs to everybody to see you, to few to come in touch with you. People see what you show them, but they feel what benefits them, and feelings drive decisions always." So if you want someone to act, stop talking about why it matters to you. Start talking about why it matters to them. Find their pressure point, their desire, their fear, their ambition, and speak directly to that. This isn't manipulation. This is translation. You're taking your goal and expressing it in terms and care about. You're removing friction by aligning interests. The powerful never try to convince anyone of anything. They don't need to. They simply show how the path they're suggesting leads to what the other person already wants. No persuasion necessary, just alignment revealed. Think about every time you've succeeded in getting someone to act. I guarantee you weren't talking about yourself. You were talking about them, about their benefit, their gain, their outcome. And think about every time you failed. You were probably explaining why something mattered to you, why your vision was important, why your reasoning made sense, and they nodded politely and did nothing. That's because humans operate on self-interest, not selfishness necessarily, but self-orientation. We all do. We filter every decision through one question. What does this mean for me? So answer that question before they ask it. Frame everything through their lens. Show them how your goal serves their interest. Make it obvious that saying yes benefits them more than saying no. This is how you move people without force. How you create cooperation without coercion. How you build momentum toward your objectives while making everyone feel like they're winning. Stop trying to make people care about what you care about. Start showing them how what you care about connects to what they already care about. That's influence. That's power. That's how the game is won. Number 9. Information is the ultimate currency. While everyone else is chasing money, status, titles, the truly powerful are chasing something else. Something invisible. Something most people don't even recognize as valuable. Information. Because here's the secret. Whoever knows more wins every single time, in every domain, in every situation. Knowledge isn't power. It's the foundation of all power. Machiavelli once said, "There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you." He's telling you to create conditions where information flows to you, where people feel safe revealing things, where truth comes to you naturally because you've made yourself a safe container for it. The powerful are obsessed with knowing. They ask more questions than they answer. They listen more than they speak. They remember details others forget. They connect patterns others miss. They see the invisible threads holding situations together. Why? Because information is leverage. When you know what others don't, you can move while they're still figuring things out. You can prepare while they're still reacting. You can position while they're still confused. This means building a network of sources, not friends necessarily. Sources. People who tell you things because you've made yourself valuable to them. because you've traded information that benefited them, because you've proven you can be trusted with sensitive knowledge. This means paying attention to everything. That casual comment that seemed meaningless, file it away. That small detail everyone else ignored, remember it. That pattern that's barely visible, track it, because today's irrelevant information becomes tomorrow's critical insight. The powerful treat every conversation as intelligence gathering. They're always collecting, always learning, always assembling pieces of a puzzle most people don't know exists. But here's the other side. They protect their own information ruthlessly. They share strategically. They reveal selectively. They never give away more than they receive. Because information asymmetry is advantage and advantage is power. You want to be 10 steps ahead. Stop talking so much. Start listening with intent. Start asking questions that reveal motivation, pressure points, hidden agendas. Start building a map of who knows what, who wants what, who fears what. And when you have that map, when you can see what others can't, when you know what's coming before it arrives, that's when you understand what real power feels like. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see everything. Number 10. Finish what you start. You know what kills more ambitions than failure? Loose ends, unfinished business, half-closed doors, situations you thought were handled but weren't, problems you thought were solved but weren't, people you thought were dealt with but weren't. Incomplete work is a time bomb, and the powerful know this. Machiavelli once said, "If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared." Read that again. He's not telling you to be cruel. He's telling you to be complete. If you're going to make a move, make it decisively. Don't half do anything, because half done is dangerous. Half-closed doors let things slip back through. Unfinished conflicts fester and explode later. Unresolved situations become future problems. Ambiguous endings create enemies from uncertainty. The weak leave things messy. They avoid difficult conversations. They let situations remain unclear because clarity is uncomfortable. They take half measures because full measures feel too harsh. And then they wonder why everything keeps blowing up in their face. Why old problems resurface. Why people they thought were gone come back with vengeance. Why things they thought were settled become active threats. The powerful are paranoid about closure. They tie every knot. They seal every crack. They eliminate every ambiguity. They make sure that when something is done, it's done. No room for a reinterpretation. No space for a comeback. No loose threads someone can pull. This means being thorough. Obsessively thorough. It means documenting everything, confirming everything, getting clarity on everything. It means not relying on assumptions, good faith or implied understandings. It means when you end something, you end it completely. When you start something, you finish it completely. When you make a move, you make it completely. No half steps, no halfway. No, we'll figure out the details later. Because later is where disasters live. Later is where the problems you ignored grow teeth. Later is when the things you didn't finish come back to destroy what you did finish. The powerful understand. Your biggest threats aren't the ones you see coming. They're the ones you forgot about. The ones you thought were handled. The loose ends you ignored because they seemed small. So finish completely, thoroughly, ruthlessly. Close every loop. Seal every ending. Clarify every ambiguity. Leave nothing dangling. Leave nothing unresolved. Leave nothing that can come back to haunt you. Because the ones who win aren't just the ones who start strong. They're the ones who finish completely. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I complete everything. Here we are, themed, but also the beginning. You've just absorbed 10 lessons that most people will never understand. Not because they're not smart enough, but because they're not ready to see reality without the filter. You know what separates you from everyone who watched this and forgot it by tomorrow? Action, application, integration. These lessons mean nothing if they stay theoretical. They only become power when they become practice. And I know what you're thinking right now. Part of you isn't comfortable. Part of you is thinking this is dark, or this is manipulative, or this isn't who I want to be. Good. That discomfort means you're actually processing this, that you're seeing something real for the first time. something that conflicts with the fairy tales you were told about how the world works. But let me be clear about something. This isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming aware. It's about removing the blindfold and seeing the game that's already being played with or without you. The powerful don't succeed because they're evil. They succeed because they're awake, because they see patterns, because they understand human nature, because they stop pretending the world operates on principles it doesn't actually follow. You can choose to ignore everything I just shared. You can go back to believing that fairness matters more than strategy, that good intentions are enough, that playing by rules nobody else follows will somehow reward you. Or you can choose to see, to understand, to operate consciously instead of being operated on unconsciously. The 99% stay comfortable in illusions. The 1% get uncomfortable with truth. Which one are you going to be? If this video shifted something in you, if you felt that click of recognition, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to wake up and subscribe, because we're going deeper. We're pulling back more curtains. We're revealing more patterns that shape reality. This isn't content. This is Aunt's mission. This is for the people who are done playing small, done being nice to their own detriment, done waiting for fairness in a game that rewards strategy. The world is a chessboard. You've been a pawn thinking you were a player. Now you know the real moves. Now you can see the whole board. Now you can play the actual game. What you do with this knowledge defines everything that comes next. The choice is yours. It always has been. You just didn't know you were choosing. Now you do. Stay.